Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So most artists can draw a cool creature, but the moment they try to place it in an environment such as this, everything tends to fall apart. The creature's floating, space feels flat, and the drawing loses its power. So I struggled with this for years, and today's lesson is all about establishing that distance that you can put inside the environment to make the creature look like it's occupying 3D space instead of just being on a flat 2D plane. We all want to add realism, right? Well, pay attention to this, grab your sketchbooks, doodle along with me, and let's hope you create something cool at the end. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so the first step that I like to follow when putting a creature into a scene is knowing the terrain in which the creature is going to be standing on. A lot of times when we see a blank white sheet of paper, we just draw the creature on it because we want to get that out first. We want to know that the creature's awesome, and we want to start doing the feet and the details like the claws and all that. But we don't really think about what it's standing on. We just see this blank white sheet of paper and go, well, how do I make it look like the toes are spreading apart so that it's standing on something? We got to establish the terrain first. Now, some people are able to see it for what it is, and they know about distance in between toes and limbs and all of that. And we'll get to that. We'll get to how to get better at it and to naturally see it. But what I'm doing here is I'm just establishing some small hills. And there's a big rock right here jutting out of the ground. I'm not immediately thinking, oh, it has to be grass or it has to be gravel or a swamp or whatever. No, these are just light lines flowing across the page until I get some cool bumps and cool ridges. Maybe there's going to be a creek down there or something to where the creature that I'm going to be drawing can be moving through 3D space. Next, I start to look at all of the different sections. So this area here, let me move this up a little bit. This area here is obviously the foreground, and then the big rock coming up is probably going to be the midground, and then in the background, I've faintly established what that's going to be, maybe more hills, but there could probably be some forest back there, or let's just see what happens. You guys are all drawing along with me, and maybe you're inventing something that's totally different than this. Maybe you're doing a spiky alien landscape or some kind of swamp, subterranean level, inside of a cave. Ooh, that'd be kind of neat, not gonna lie. But anyway, whatever you're drawing, just have fun with it. Just allow your pencil to explore and not worry too much about anything. All right, so it's pretty decent. I think there's enough here to have our little beast step on something. Now, what are we going to draw for the actual creature? So if you look at it upright like this, maybe I'll just turn my hand a little bit to draw it. It looks like a pretty open landscape, not a lot of bushes or anything. So we'll get a clear shot of our creature. Let's put it in. Look at all these ridges that I have. There's a hill here, and there's tiny little ones. These two right here, I'm thinking, well, if I put the creature in the midground, we can see most of it. So not directly up front and not too far in the background where shading and atmospheric perspective and fog and everything will kind of obscure most of it. I mean, I could draw something really creepy and just have it pop out of the mist and everything, but let's see what we can do. What's the creature going to look like? Well, I don't want it to look like this rock. So let's do maybe something kind of long, and we'll put the tail going up like this. Okay, so first things first. How did I know to do that? Well, I'm not obsessing about what I think the creature should look like. Instead, I'm just kind of playing up on shapes here, guys. Look at the rock. Look at the hillside. Hillsides are kind of wavy, so a lot of times the creature's shape is dictated by the environment that it comes from. So I think I'm going to do that. Now, I don't know where the legs are going to be. yet. I don't know what kind of legs they're going to be. But let's see if we can put in a head here. It's kind of a strange animal. I don't really know what's going on here. Maybe a lizard slash turtle? Now I'm kind of at the mercy of what's going to be happening with my pencil as it moves across the page. Take a look at your drawing right now and ask yourself, what am I drawing? Like, what kind of shapes are you putting in there? I want you to pay attention especially to what I'm about to do. The first leg that's coming down, all right, there's the forearm coming down here. Now, the leg is slightly moved forward, as if the creature is walking, which it is, and it's trying to place its hand on this ground right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to indicate maybe where a hoof can be, or some kind of elephant-like foot, and then I'm just going to leave it. Now, here's where people mess up, and I'm going to give a close-up lesson on this too, but first I'm going to show what's happening here. The leg in the background does not have to belong in the same plane as the front leg. The leg in the back is going to slightly be moved back due to perspective. So let me explain a common problem that beginner artists have when they start placing these limbs in here. So let's go over here real quick. What happens is, let's just take a quadruped for example. Look at your creatures and ask yourself, is the front leg touching the ground? So let's just spread apart two claws, like this. That's just a typical leg, and we can tell that right under here is a flat spot where the ground is located. I'm not even shading under here or anything. The toes are spread out horizontally so that it's coming towards us because it's placing its weight down on the ground. Now, here's the chest. We want to draw the other leg, right? Well, here's where people mess up. They'll draw it, and all of a sudden the leg will go down a little bit past it, and then the claws will come down like this. I've been through this before, especially the video, the top 7 mistakes that beginner artists make for creature design, but we're not done yet. The other thing that happens is they'll do the back legs. Okay, so let's just do a back leg, and then this one will be completely flat and facing the wrong way. The wrong way as in, these are coming towards us slightly. These are completely horizontal going over here. And then here's the other mistake. It's completely parallel with it. As if, here's the cliff, here's a rock, this isn't touching anything. Now, could you be drawing it on an uneven ground, like a volcanic rock or something? Yes, you very well could. But you have to watch out for goofy foot. Okay, it's something that I like to call goofy foot, when you're, like the feet that you're drawing never land on the same ground. Like these are pointing completely down, but this foot is up. And then all of a sudden the back one is flat, and then this one is slightly lower. It's like, it's not standing on anything. So this is the whole reason why establishing the terrain is very important. So now we have the ground that we know it's supposed to be standing on. Now check this out. See this little bump right here? This is the space underneath the creature that's going to allow to show width. Okay, so let me explain. When you look underneath the creature that you're drawing, okay, there is distance between each foot, especially the front limbs. So like if you get down on the ground right now in a push-up position, your hands aren't touching each other. No, they're spread apart, right? It's because you have to anchor your body up before you do a push-up. And there's probably several feet in between each hand. Well, guess what? There's going to be several feet in between each foot or hand that the creature has. That is one of the major things you have to watch out for when showing distance if you want to place your creature in an environment. This is why having the terrain is so important. Because right here, see this hill that I originally drew going up? I'm going to bend this creature's leg so that it looks like it's placing its weight and its foot on that hill. Now, every bending of the leg has purpose. Maybe it goes down a little bit more, maybe it's sinking into the mud. But we know that this creature is walking, following the terrain. The terrain is dictating what it's doing. All right, now, maybe it has to anchor its weight, and we'll put its other leg slightly pointed back like this. All right, so you can see just that subtle little directional change. Look at this ankle right here. It's coming down at a 45-degree angle. The back left leg is going straight down because it has to step and use its weight right in that spot so that it won't slip and fall down the hill. See this leg right here, this front limb? See how it's reaching forward? That's because all of the weight of this creature is moving forward. It just walked down a slight hill, so the momentum carrying it has to stop, right? So you're going to need, or it's going to need, that strong shoulder muscle and that entire limb to step forward a little bit. This one is slightly back due to anchoring the weight, same as this one. Now, maybe it seems a little complicated at first, but I can 99.9% guarantee you that this type of method, where you just take a little bit more extra time to figure out how it's walking, it's going to pay off. Because then the creature is going to look like it's passing through 3D space and be realistic. And your creatures won't be suffering from goofy foot anymore, of just going everywhere. And also, the creature looks like it's living and breathing in the environment that you're inventing. Isn't that what we want, everybody? We want to be able to world build, and we want to be able to place our creatures in the environments without it looking bad, without it looking like it doesn't belong. We don't want that. And yes, it's a little easier said than done, I get it. But the more you practice these little thumbnails, the easier it gets. All right, so we're not done yet. Let's just keep going because, you know, drawing environments and everything is quite fun. So what I would do next is, since the creature itself and the position that it's in when walking, it's already been established. Let's start putting in some shading. Okay, so what I like to do is, oh, by the way, when I shade up and down, I'm going past the lines of the creature. Remember, this is not a coloring book. Everything that I'm shading outside of the creature needs value anyway, because this is all an environment. There could be fog, mist, plants in the back, etc. So just have fun shading in the creature. Keep the strokes close together. This isn't the only pass that you're going to be doing with shading anyway. But once you let go of the need for perfection, it becomes so much more fun and enjoyable. You know, we perfectionists, I mean, we tell ourselves that we're enjoying this stuff, but then at the end of the day, it still feels like a chore, right? Well, you don't want it to feel like a chore anymore. You want this hobby of yours to turn into a profession. You want to be able to do this stuff for a living, or just to be better at it and to feel better about your drawings, right? So one way to do it is just to loosen up your mind, loosen up your hands, sit up straight, and just enjoy the drawing process. There we go. Okay, so now we can start establishing some of the anatomy here, making sure that there is a belly. You know, the creature itself has a rib cage. There is intestines here. Okay, the creature, you know, it has, you know, the typical genitals of a quadruped and whatever else body parts may be around there. Looks like the tail's kind of twisting around. There we go. Okay, so now that we have some shading on this, we don't need to fixate ourselves on that actual creature right now. What I would like to do now is start building up some of the landscaping around it to make it feel like it's inside of this landscape. So let's do that together. Okay, so the feet are here. Okay, past it, I haven't done anything to those rocks. There's nothing in between there. I'm just going to start to add in some ground past it. Just a little bit, just an indication that, hey, there's some flat ground that this thing also has to step on, and then there's an environment that exists beyond it. So let's do that. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is add in some more shading on that ground. So I'm going to start back over here, very lightly. I'm going to work my way this way. Okay, got it on the rock there, and now we're bringing it across all of that. There we go. Okay, we're not done. No. We're just getting started here. So the next thing to do is to figure out, well, if this particular creature is the focal point, where's it going? Like, it lives here, so what other kind of shapes that we need to bring in to make it seem like it's living and breathing in the same exact environment? Well, let's look at the shapes of the rocks. Maybe there's some plants that are jutting upwards like this, some kind of cacti. Notice how I'm not going into a lot of detail on these shapes. They kind of look like eggs, don't they? Maybe this thing laid egg. Maybe this is the nest. Who knows? Maybe there's some like kind of jagged bushes here, but not really. But they mimic the shape of this rock right here. That's cool. That's what I want to keep. Okay, so you notice here I've put some shapes on the creature that might be able to help its overall silhouette. And they're not random per se. It's more of, hey, maybe this creature needs protection, similar to a rhino. It's a very open type of atmosphere, type of environment. So any kind of prey that's larger, or any kind of predator that's larger than this guy, will see this creature out in the open and want to attack it, so they need to be able to protect themselves. All right, so let's put in some cool little shapes on the neck here. Maybe a hunchback. I did put that arrow in here. I want see, this is the problem. I start doing arrows when I'm teaching stuff, and then I realize that, oh, this isn't Photoshop, so I can't just delete that. Let's just turn that into a fin. Why not, right? I kind of have a fin right here on the tail. Speaking of the tail, I'll show you a little trick that I like to do here. Whenever you do a tail and you start to put motion into it, so it's not just a stiff, straight thing, think about how it can twist and turn. So if you do a center line down the bottom of the tail, this, not only does it have a cool 3D space, you know, we can see the bottom, and then it goes in the underbelly, down under the hip, but it looks like the tail's actually moving and the creature's thinking. It needs its tail for balance. So a lot of times when aspiring artists start drawing tails, they're kind of boring, they're choppy, they don't really have a function, they're too long. That's when you need to study the animals that would have a tail and figure out, like, hey, what did a Triceratops do? What did an Ankylosaurus do? What did Edmontosaurus, Monoclonius, any kind of dinosaur that you can think of. I say dinosaurs just because the skeletons and everything probably most closely represent what I'm drawing here. Okay, there we go. Some cool little shapes. All right, so let's talk briefly about what's going on here on the ground, and then we'll get into some deeper aspects of the drawing. So it's getting dark right underneath the feet and right out where the neck is. So if you go straight up, there's the head. What this does is it gives the illusion that there's shadow. Shadow actually plays a huge part in spatial awareness when it comes to these environment studies. So for example, we're going to get technical here, folks, but you need to pay attention to this, because this will give you a better understanding of atmospheric perspective and the land going back into the distance. The shadow right here is because the light source is coming directly down like this. So the shadow is going to be projected onto the ground. Right above it, it's light. That means that the ground in the back of the creature is not being hit with shadow. There's nothing to cast it. Notice how it goes past the foot, and there's just this little indication, this little triangle shape of light. Keep that. You can see that the front right limb goes directly in front of it. This gives 3D space. Oh, guess what? There's sunlight in the background, but there's shadow directly under the creature. Here I am drawing on a 2D surface. This isn't 3D, this isn't ZBrush, nothing. So this is the best way to help your drawings look like the creature's occupying 3D space. All right, so now I'm just starting to add in a little bit more details over here. Comment below if you are an environment concept artist and you got some personal projects going on, or if you're working at a game studio or trying to get into the game studio. Your questions that you ask me, I love when you guys ask questions like that too, but the questions help other artists that maybe are too shy to ask them, or your experience is going to help them form opinions and to practice better. There's a lot of amazing artists out there that just don't speak up when it comes to what they know, which is why I encourage everybody to check the links in the description for our Creature Design Workshop Discord. It's a bustling community of like-minded artists of all skill levels. We got industry vets on there. We got 3D artists, architects, all kinds of walks of life. Okay, and people share their sketchbooks. People share their knowledge about rendering, about sketching, and we also have a monthly creature design challenge. Matter of fact, now that it's December, we just posted it. It's a fun one. And what do you win? Nothing, just bragging rights. It's just all for fun. There we go. Okay, so you can see here, we're starting to establish the focal point. Let me move this over a little bit. I didn't realize that was like hugging the edge right there. I'm so sorry, everybody. Didn't even realize that. Okay, there we go. And we can start to add in some textures right around the shadow. Okay, so let's go over some of the things that I was talking about here, just so you know and get a better understanding of what to do. First, establish the ground plane. Just sketch in lightly a surface that you want your creature to walk on. It could be a jungle, desert, something aquatic, like marshlands. And then start sketching in a silhouette of your creature. So think about how the weight is distributed. Think about how many legs it has. The terrain that you draw is going to help dictate where those limbs are going to be placed. So remember, when we first started this hill was the first thing that I put that arm on. That foot, because it's this flat ground. And this one in the back here, there's a slight hill. Here's a bigger decline right there. And then this leg has to bend down in order to step on that. And we can even put some of this in shadow to help with the the perspective, atmospheric perspective, just to show that there's a background. Like this. Okay, and then we start piecing together some shapes in the environment with a slight focal point. Okay, so we want to indicate small little environmental details that shows that there is distance in the back of the creature. This. Remember guys, I'm just doing, this is like a super simple desert scene, okay? There could be so many really cool alien landscapes that you're thinking of, even underwater, in a cave, up on a cliff, floating in the clouds, like I don't know. Give it some kind of a surface to stand on, and you're going to bring in so much more believability on your little drawing. All right, so hopefully that helps you. We can relax, watch a little time lapse of me finishing up this doodle, and hopefully you've produced something that you're proud of at the end of this. All right, let's go.